Roman is like the best. He's just so easy to work with. And he's one of those guys, like, you want the crowd to be involved, right? And he could just stand there and the crowd's going to be excited about it. He's a great baby face. He's just great all around. He's so easy to work with. He was all about, like, whatever I wanted to do for a match that I thought would help me and look good against him. Because, he's getting the win at the end of the day. So, dude, yeah, he's great. And we did many live events together where we were the main event and had tons of great matches, great crowds, and I'm pretty sure he enjoyed wrestling me. And I say we had great chemistry. I think he has great chemistry with anybody though, so because he's just that good. So it's great working with him. And then Shane's awesome. He's just like, just loves to have fun when he's out there. He gets involved, gets in the mix, has a whole vision for how he wants to do everything. And to kind of be in his posse or whatever you want to call it was like a cool little association. You know what I mean? It's good to be associated with Shane McMahon on TV, and especially as a bad guy, you know what I mean?
And was he quite good at kind of, if you were doing stuff with him, taking an interest in you as a talent and trying to work with you to help?
Yeah. I mean, he would like literally coach from ringside. And I can remember this one time I flipped a gear on Miz, which just means I just unloaded on him in the ring with a bunch of violent aggression and stuff. And he was just beside himself. He just was like, that is like top guy wrestling right there. And he went backstage and said, Dad, did you see what a lot? Yeah. Oh yeah. They were all happy about everything. And so like, he's supportive and a coach, and like he had ideas. Even at this WrestleMania, I think like in Tampa, I can't remember what it was. I was associated with him again years later, or whatever. And he wanted to get me involved in this somehow, some way. So yeah, he was always awesome, always great.
And then at SummerSlam 2019, you end up getting speared by Edge, who nobody had any idea was going to be able to do anything physical. Yeah. How did that all come about, and what were your memories of it?
Dude, that was what an unbelievable night that was there. Because I didn't know anything going into that night. I think I remember I had like something to do later on the show. And so I was just kind of casual backstage, and a writer came up to me. He was like, "Hey, we got to write a song." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, like pre-show, they want you to kind of like get the crowd into it, do a song and stuff like that." I'm like, "What, dude? That's in like 40 minutes. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, I know. Just come straight from Vince. You know what I mean?" And I'm like, "All right, dude. Let me get dressed and let's like start talking about lyrics and stuff like that, right?" And so I'm like, "Well, what's the game plan here? What are we doing?" They're like, "Well, we'll call it when it's time." This is what they would do for me on TV, but I'd always know like, when the time is right, Bobby Lashley will interrupt you when the time is right, right? And they just said, "Oh, we'll just call it when the time is right." It's all secretive stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I sing a song about Toronto. You know how I know I'm in Toronto and blah, 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 blah. And, dude, Edge comes out. And it's like, just unbelievable, right? It's like Toronto, Edge. We're on the pre-show, no less. So like a million things are going through my head. Like, this is like a huge moment. And, the pre-show, and like we're at SummerSlam, and it is Toronto, and like a million things going through my head. And it's all so fast-paced for me that I don't have time to like digest like what's going on and how this is going to be. And, and I had known him before. Like we had met a few times and stuff like that, but never worked in any capacity together. And dude, he came out there and, he did that spear, which I don't think he was even honestly supposed to or able to do or cleared or anything like that. But I do know that sparked his return. Like he did that physicality, and he did the spear on me, he did that physicality, and it got everybody talking. Wait, maybe he's good to go, right? And it kind of really sparked that return there, right? And which now we've gotten so many amazing moments from him since then. But that was his first comeback, and that was just another career highlight. What an incredible moment. And for me to be like trusted with that spot, so to speak, you know what I mean? It was like a big deal.
This may be an odd question to ask, but I'm just curious. So in 2019, they brought in the 24/7 title.
Yeah.
And loads of people from kind of bottom of the card to mid card to upper card were kind of involved.
Yeah.
And you were involved with some title changes. What was the reaction like behind the scenes of the 24/7 title? Did anybody care about it? Did people see it as a joke? What was the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I had my own perception of it. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was okay to have like as a thing on the show. Like the idea is basically they want to have the viewers know that anything could happen at any time, and there could be a title match at any point, on the show, and so keep your eyes open and stay tuned to the show. And though they create chases and stuff like that, so that you would, you just want to see where it ends up, right? As far as like prestige or anything like that, it's like whatever. Like, R-Truth obviously made that amazing, right? I mean, the 500-time 24/7 7-Eleven champ or whatever. It's like he can make anything great. So he made that great, and it became fun because of R-Truth, And I did a few segments with him where I think I won the belt 1 or 2 or 3 times for all I know. But for me, where I was at in my career and where I wanted to be in my career, to me it just felt like filler. You know what I mean? Just just kind of like filler.
And then in 2020, for that Royal Rumble, it's kind of the Brock Lesnar match where he's eliminating everybody, and you were one of the guys that comes out and gets chucked out by him. I'm curious, like, behind the scenes, what goes into that? Does Brock speak to anybody? Does Brock deal with anybody? Or do you just get sent out there?
Yeah, he talked to everybody. But when it's time to go, he just does what he wants to do. So I can remember I had a whole song planned. I had a whole song that I had written there called The Sacrificial Lamb, because I knew that's what I was, right? Going out there to I'm going to be the guy that Brock's throwing around. And but I was at least going to have my moment there. I come out, I do my song. I was going to sing right to Paul Heyman. The bell was going to ring. I can just remember. It's funny now because I can remember talking to Brock about it and being like, dude, I'll just get on you right away, and I'll hit you with a knee and a this and that, and then, whatever, and then, you could catch me, and here's a jerk, yeah. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool, like, run that by me again, yeah, sure. All the while, he's just going to do whatever he wants. And so, so I had that at least planned in my head, and I can remember, and you can probably hear it if you go back, I'm singing that song, and I hit some line, and the crowd is like, ooh, because I made fun of, I think, Paul Heyman. He just leaves the ring, and he's running down, and I'm all hooked up to, I've got the thing on and the battery pack for the guitar, and I got the guitar in front of me, and he's, like, running at me full force. And I'm like, oh, my, I can't remember what I said. I probably said some words, you know what I mean? I don't know if the mic picked it up or not, but I'm like, oh, my, okay. And I think, by the grace of God, I duck my head as he like swings full force to like take my head off. And I dump everything, and I'm like running, like legitimately running from Brock Lesnar. And you can imagine like a bear chasing you down, right? And so if you watch it, I'm like as best I can running, and I slide in the ring, and he just like tackles me, and he's like whatever you want to call it, like fist slamming my head. Oh my gosh, right? And so I think I like roll him off or somehow get away from it or whatever. And, I think he German suplexes me. He takes one of my guitars and just like smashes it on my back and goes to throw me out. And he goes, thank you. Throws me over the ring. Like, okay. I guess that just happened, right? And again, I was so caught off guard and so I was very disappointed because I'm like, hey, that was like my Royal Rumble moment that he just went and did his own thing or whatever. But it's kind of like memorable in its own way. You know what I mean? So is what it is. But yeah, I can remember like full adrenaline rush sprint after he like tried to take my head off. If you look, like I said, it was like instinct that I dropped down and I have all this stuff on me. If I could do it again, I would have just whacked him with the guitar, man. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier you're supposed to face Cena at the 2020 WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Then he gets pulled, and then COVID happens, and you end up on WrestleMania that year wrestling King Corbin.
Yeah.
It's an empty performance center.
Yeah.
What is that experience like if COVID hits, everything's shut down, and then doing that show in the empty performance center?
Man, you know, it's another one of those instances where like I'm grateful. Yeah, about 50 guys got cut whenever the pandemic happened. A lot of friends just got let go in such a questionable time, right? So I was grateful. I was still there, and I was being used on TV. And it was at that time the performance center was only 10 minutes from my house, so it was just a quick drive to work, to and from. But that environment was brutal. I mean, a silent arena with no fans. And, you know, hard bumps. It's so much worse when there's no energy in the building. You know what I mean? Then you're just slamming off the ground and you're all out of breath and exhausted. So as far as like the storyline with Corbin, I remember he knocked me off the big scaffold and everything like that. And I'm grateful to Corbin. He's amazing. He's a great wrestler. And I'm glad to be able to say like, oh, I had a WrestleMania match against, you know, Corbin and stuff like that. But the environment was just not ideal.
And I mean, were you guys, because that COVID had just hit maybe 2 weeks before, were you guys even allowed to be in the same place at points, or had the testing started yet where you had to?
Yeah, it was so bizarre. Yeah, you had to take a test to walk into the building, and then it'd be like you wear your mask until you get in the ring. And then, like, so when you're not touching anybody and you're standing in the corner, you wear your mask. But when you're actually wrestling and you're physically, like, touching somebody, it's like, oh, just free for all, right? So it was totally backwards anyways. But I guess they were trying to follow every protocol they possibly could. But, yeah, it was weird, man. It was like, you know, some people had to be over there in the back. You guys wear your masks. You take your test. Okay, you guys are good. And, you know, as soon as the match is over, you know, get and go. And so it's really an odd time in the world, right?
And then like the next month you tear your pec and you're out for like a few months in 2020. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth like, oh great, I don't need to wrestle in front of no people, but is there part of you that's like, sucks to get an injury, but timing wise, like this stuff's going on, so it's not the worst time? Yeah, of course, man. You know, and I've always known I was a crowd guy, right? Like I always want to have the crowd to play with. So the injury was tough, but also, yeah, I mean, as far as timing, it's like, okay, you know, if it had to happen, now's the time, right? Opposed to if I was about to get ready for WrestleMania with John Cena, then I got hurt and be like, oh. I mean, then when you come back, you work with Jeff Hardy. Yeah. It was the Symphony of Destruction and all that stuff. I mean, it does just feel like if there had been a proper crowd, you know, all that stuff could have been so much better. I totally agree. When I was gone, I came up with the idea to Kevin Dunn at the time. I said, I want to make an album. This is where I said, hey, I want to come back. I've got a couple months off to heal my chest. Let me write some music. Let me write an album like a real one. Not just like, Elias, the jerk, kind of writing songs, trashing towns and stuff like that. Like, let me put like my heart into some music here and see what we could do. And it was so interesting because we did it. Then I came back, I did the live concert. And if you remember any of this, first off, they promoted it great. It went #1 worldwide. Like legitimately, I can claim that I was a #1 iTunes artist, okay? And the songs are like very spiritual. I mean, I'm talking like Amen is like my theme song, right? That song that I wrote there. And
I need someone to save me, and I'm a sinner and a saint, and all these different things, these lyrics in here, and it's very spiritual, and it's like almost uplifting. And then they have me being the bad guy against Jeff Hardy, and it's like, even that already was like weird. It's like they're on two different pages. They have me write this album. I covered Amazing Grace on this one. So that kind of gives you the idea of the tone, right? And it went #1. So it's like, if I'm them, at least in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, hold on a second. Now we have something here. Now it's like, it's a #1 album. So clearly people are into it to some extent. We promoted it. We gave him a live concert to show that he actually could be as a live musician. Maybe now, and I'm thinking, maybe now I can transition to like a little different version of Elias, right? But they were determined, like, you're going to be the heel against Jeff Hardy. You're going to do this, this, and that. And as fun as it was to work with Jeff, because he's awesome, and we did a Symphony of Destruction match, which is always fun. It was another instance where I'm like, they're making their decisions, but I know the crowd would make a different decision right now. And if only we had the crowd, that could help sway them in the direction I want to go. It just wasn't the case, though. And like, I think literally maybe 3 weeks later, they're like talking about something different. It's like, I'm obviously passionate about it. They have their own talent right at #1 iTunes album. And they almost don't make any mention of that ever. You know what I mean? And I don't understand why you don't capitalize on that. And for all I know, and because they're all about crossover, and they're all about whatever, send me to the Country Music Awards, because you could call me it's like, then let me be a representative for WWE as we move to this music stuff, and who knows who we're connected to, and it's just good branding and stuff, if you ask me. But it was like 3 weeks later, they're like, just they don't even mention it on TV anymore. And then when I try to write it into my promos and just say like, hello, I am Elias, #1 iTunes artist, it's like, they're like, well, maybe just cut that out. So I couldn't understand it, because they invested in the whole music project in the first place. And then they just, in my opinion, they got it to #1, and they just didn't want to do anything with it. It was so weird to me. So there's another instance where I'm like, man, if the crowd was there, this could be a whole different story.